And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I'm always looking for games that allow a lot of interaction between people, and I've always been fascinated by games that had hidden roles. Werewolf or Mafia is a very fun party-style game. I like Bang because you're not sure who the outlaws are or the deputies are. And so when I saw some people at Origins this year playing Shadowhunters, I had read about this, but it completely went under my radar, and I'm glad I got a chance to see it because this is just a super fun game. One of my favorite games I've played this year so far. The hidden role mechanic works really well. It's fast and easy. At first it feels like you're shooting in the dark, but as the game goes by it gets more and more intense and just a lot of fun. Let's take a look at what the game looks like. At the beginning of each game, players are given one of these roll cards, and you can see 3 of the roll cards there. Each roll card is one of 3 different teams, if you will. We have the Hunter teams, and they have blue, and the Shadow team, and then there are neutral players, and neutral players are pretty much on their own team. Each card tells you how many hit points the player has, what their win condition is, and any special abilities they might have. So let's take a look here at George, a hunter. His win condition, as all the hunters are, is if the shadow characters are dead. And the shadow characters are the opposite of that. They win if the hunter characters are dead. And you can see here that George has a special ability of being able to pick any player and give damage equal to the result of a roll of a 4-sided die. And so the hunters are trying to kill the shadows, and the shadows are trying to kill the hunters. And then each neutral player has their own special win condition. For example, Daniel wins if he's the first person to die, or if all the shadow characters are dead and you are not. And so you can see there's quite a few roles that are included with the game. And then here is the game board itself. Now the game board itself is not completely necessary. In fact, I guess part of it's necessary. Let me explain. Each player is given one of these boards that they put in front of them, and this is where you'll put your roll. Put it down on this board. Now, I guess the board itself is superfluous. You don't really need it, except it does kind of announce to the world what color you are. And since you'll be looking at these colors on the board, that will matter quite a bit. Now, as the game takes place, players will be rolling 2 dice, a 6-sided die and a 4-sided die, adding those results together, and then moving to the card that matches the number of what they rolled. So, for example, if players roll a 10, they go here, which allows them to steal an equipment card from any player. And each of these different cards allows players to do certain things. So one of the places allows players to draw black cards, which are often weapons to attack other players with. Another one lets them draw white cards, which can be defensive things against other players, or they could just be more attack cards, I guess holy attacks. And then the third one, which is really interesting at the Hermit's Cabin, are these Hermit cards. Now, when you get one of these cards, you give it to another player, and it says here, I bet you're a hunter. If you do, you receive 1 damage. So you give this to another player. If they are a hunter, they take 1 damage. And so you've learned something about them. Or if they're not a hunter, they don't take any damage at all, but you are the only person who knows about it when you play these cards. So as the game goes by, you're going to deduce who people are based on these cards that you play. But that's not the only thing you're also watching people's actions. Because if a player goes to the same region as another player at the end of their turn, they can simply attack that player. And by doing it, again, they roll both dice, and they will subtract the difference. So for example, if I roll a 5 and a 2, I do 3 damage to the other person. Damage is measured on this track here. This is not a point track, but it's a damage track. And as players get damaged, eventually they're going to reach their characters' names. If they reach that character and it is them, so let's say Black gets here to 10, and Black is Bob, they have to announce they're dead. They're out of the game, but that doesn't mean they'll lose because their team might win, or in the example of maybe Daniel, if he dies, he wins. And so players are trying to go around, deal damage, and the game takes about 30 to 40 minutes to play. There's going to be a lot of people who don't like Shadowhunters because at the beginning it does feel fairly chaotic. You don't know what role anyone is. You're kind of shooting in the dark. I think this person's Shadow, but I have no idea. You don't even know what roles are in the game, which I think is a good thing. You don't know that Daniel's in the game where he needs to win by dying, or that the vampire's in the game, or the werewolf. You don't know these things for sure, but you do know that there's, let's say in a 6-player game, you know that there's 2 evil people, 2 Shadow, 2 hunters, and 2 neutrals, and you're trying to figure out who is what. And it's an entertaining thing. It's an entertaining game, and as the game goes by, through the usage of these green cards and just watching other people's actions, you'll slowly figure out who people are, and then suddenly the cooperation starts. And if you have a table where people are talking back and forth and accusing each other, it can be a lot of fun. The characters look like they've been drawn from anime stories. There's nothing in the rule book to give me any background on these people. I know nothing about them, so I guess you can make up your own stories and such. But it's a really interactive game, and for me, as much fun as Bang is, the game Bang, I probably will no longer play it because this takes the place of that, because it seems like this has more interaction and it goes by much faster. You move, you do an action, you attack someone. You move, you do an action, you attack someone. And that's the way the game goes. And as long as players have a lot of interaction back and forth, you'll enjoy it. If you're looking for something very concrete with super strategy, this might not be for you. But I like the deduction aspects. I like the theme of everyone, the secret teams going after each other. And I'm telling you, it's just a lot of fun to play. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.